believe that outside of very rare circumstances, you should never purchase a manufactured home. So let's get started. Now, the first thing I want to be clear on is I grew up in a trailer park. I grew up in a mobile home. I lived in a single wide for a period of time. And then shortly after that, we moved into a double wide. And then by the time I was 18 years old, my parents had bought a stick-built home. So I have lived in these homes, and I am not disrespecting, throwing shade, or making fun of anyone who does. All I'm here to do today is to educate you on the facts to help you with your future purchases. That does not mean that anyone is stupid if they have purchased a mobile home, that if you're in the process of buying one now that you should panic or have fear. But you do need to be aware of these things. Look at your options and then see how you can make the best decisions today forward. So let's get rolling. First, we're going to talk about housing affordability, as this is an important topic. It is on everybody's mind right now, as housing has went absolutely crazy in this country.
Hold on. Hello? But we offered $100,000 over asking. Is everything okay? It's my buyers. They can't catch a break, first timers, huh?
So in the first part of this video, I want to talk about one of the most common myths when it comes to manufactured housing, and that would be depreciation. What the actual data shows is that a $150,000 mobile home can lose about $50,000 within the first 5 or so years. This means that this has lost a third of its value in roughly the same amount of time as a car does. One of those reasons is because it kind of is a car, at least until it gets put on a foundation, or more of a trailer, you could say. Here's the thing. A mobile home or a manufactured home has to travel across the interstate. Because of this, they are given a VIN number, which stands for Vehicle Identification Number, okay? So a VIN number is attached to these homes as they travel to and from. When they get to their location, because they are not fixed to earth, they are considered personal property, not real property or real estate. That's very important. However, once the manufactured home becomes fixed to the ground through a permanent foundation, it then can become real estate or real property. And while the land value does increase, bringing the total up over time, the manufactured home actually decreased in value and will continue to drop until it gets down to about a certain level where typically you see them stabilize. A site-built home, on the other hand, averages about 5 to 6% outside of these few years we've had, which are an anomaly and have been absolutely absurd. Okay, I've got to admit that. The average appreciation in America on a site-built home is about 6%, okay? With a manufactured home, however, you likely are paying a higher rate, which we'll get into here in a little bit. On top of that, you've also lost value. To top this off, when you drive by the dealerships where you have salesmen out front and they sell these manufactured homes.
Buddy, how about us making us a deal?
Yeah, I like her a lot. How much wiggle room we got on the price?
Wiggle room? I'll show you wiggle room. Wiggle, wiggle, whoa. Wiggle, wiggle, whoa. Wiggle, wiggle.
One of the things you'll see is those giant banners that say $139,000 or something like that. What they're not including in that is things that you're going to need, such as a septic tank, if it's not on a city sewer, utilities ran to the land. The land likely could need excavating. You need things like a driveway put in. Then also, of course, you are going to need to have the home shipped to that land, and hopefully it'll have the right amount of restrictions. We'll get into that later. However, you're going to have it shipped to the land, then placed on a permanent foundation. The land could need excavated in parts, if I didn't already say that. So you have additional cost in addition to buying the actual land. So say a land lot is $40,000 or $50,000. Well, now your $150,000 manufactured home became $190,000. You don't even have a septic tank or a driveway or the land excavated as it may need to be excavated yet. So you quickly get up in that lower $200,000 range on a $150,000 manufactured home. Although it's going to go down in value, so you won't recoup some of that money, unfortunately. And that brings me to my second point. which is another myth on affordability with manufactured housing and compared to site-built homes. And that would be the fact that these homes often have higher interest rates as well as a need for higher down payments. And while you can certainly get certain loans, which are zero down payment loans, keep in mind you still could have potential things like closing costs, in addition to the fact that you're going to be paying a higher rate on the amount borrowed potentially. Now, I want to caution with this, I am not a lender, I'm not a mortgage professional, so I'm not qualified to speak on mortgage matters. I encourage you to reach out to one who is a qualified lender to let them best guide you. However, many of these manufactured home companies are often known for having their own in-house lender, which their salespeople at their dealerships or whatever you would call them, they direct them to their lender. And there has been times where this has been done with very high pressure tactics.
Can I help you? Hey, name's Eddie. With Vibrant Home Security Systems, you interested in an alarm system? Get it? Alarm system?
No thanks, man. I'm not interested.
Come on, bro. Sun's out, guns out. This whole shack can be fueled by the power of the sun. You ever heard of solar panels?
Yeah, I've heard a bit. My neighbors have it.
Well, it's simple. All you gotta do is sign right here on this 19-page contract. We'll have you hooked up in no time.
One mortgage lender in particular within the manufactured housing industry was busted for predatory lending practices in 2015 and is currently under investigation for the same thing. So I'm not saying going through an in-house lender is always bad. However, you do need to make sure that you are not overpaying for the loan that you are getting if you could shop around and get a far better loan. Another important side note there is most mortgage brokers, most mortgage lenders will not even loan on a single wide home. So it has to be at least a double wide or more. So the ones you see that are really cheap often are very hard to finance, and you're financing that at a much higher rate. And once again, second time with the disclaimer, I am not a mortgage lender, but these are all facts that you can look up online, you can speak with a mortgage professional about, and do your own research, which I encourage you to do with everything. Now, if your manufactured home is not on a permanent foundation, then you're actually getting not a mortgage, which would be lending on real property, but you're getting much more of a personal loan, you could call it. This loan, I believe, is known as a Chattel Loan. I've never messed with them, so I could be mispronouncing that. Sorry if I did. However, if the home is not affixed to a permanent foundation, if it's not fixed to earth, then you are borrowing on something the same as you would borrow on a car. And that's going to have a higher interest rate and everything. Which brings me to my next point, and that would be one of the third parts of this myth on affordability with manufactured housing: insurance costs. Whether the home is on a permanent foundation or not, which by the way, insurance would greatly change depending on that, your insurance is going to be higher than if it were on a site-built home. And this is simply due to risk. An insurance company, the same with a mortgage broker, all this stuff is calculated by risk. And again, disclaimer, I am not a mortgage professional, I'm not an insurance professional, and so on. I don't know much about insurance outside of I need it, you need to be covered on your stuff. And call it a scam, whatever you want to call it. The fact is today you got to have it or you're going to pay a lot of money if something happens. And with manufactured homes, you know, the old joke that there's nothing happier than a tornado in a trailer park, okay? And I can say I grew up in a trailer park, so if that offends you, I'm sorry, but you know, they're kind of known for going after mobile home parks or trailer parks, whatever you want to call them.
Hey, all right, we're good to go.
So when you look at manufactured housing, it's pretty obvious to see that the metals and everything that the home is made out of, even the interior doors and stuff like that, typically are thinner. The walls seem thinner and so forth. So this is just material that cannot quite withstand the same weather effects as, say, a site or brick home or something like that. So because of this, because they are known to have a higher risk, insurance companies charge more for them. So you can pay anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 per year just in insurance on your manufactured home. Another interesting fact I found when researching this is apparently manufactured housing is also at higher risk of theft and vandalism.
There ain't no streets tougher than mine. The streets of Malibu. It's hardcore up in the booth, y'all, but it's just part of the everyday struggle. Things go down here, people should never see. We got bag ladies, big ballers, everybody strapped with a 9.
Again, all this stuff between the natural disasters, tornadoes, earthquakes, storms, whatever you want to call it, hail damage, etc., theft, vandalism, add that in there. Manufactured homes are always going to cost more on your insurance rates. Now, I will say that safety standards have certainly improved on manufactured housing, so that is important to remember. There was a time in American history where they accounted for 11% of sales nationally, yet over 30% of fires when it came to homes. So in 1976, HUD stepped in and they created certain guidelines for manufactured housing that had to be met. 1980, they changed the name from mobile to manufactured. There was a reason that the term was originally mobile home. You see, manufactured housing is nothing new. Mobile homes have been around since the 1800s. Actually, they date farther back than that apparently. But in America anyways, they date around to 1870 or so. And they were actually used in Outer Banks by folks on the beach for temporary housing.
Hey! What are you doing? That's my stuff!
This is city property. Nobody's supposed to be camping out here.
Okay. Then mobile homes became popularized in World War II as many folks, due to the war effort, had to go to and from across the nation, of course, so they used these as temporary housing units. Speaking of temporary, while a stick-built home can on average last longer if well maintained, a manufactured home averages about 30 to 55 years. And for some people that's an acceptable number. However, you will find it to be lower than an average stick-built home. After World War II ended, the manufactured home became something that became common in America, as it was often seen as a more affordable way to house folks. I can say this, and I don't mean to just sit here and rag on manufactured housing, but you got to understand one thing, folks. If a home takes 6-7 months to build, they probably took their time somewhat to do that. These manufactured homes and the factories that build them, some of them have quotas where they have to build 4 homes per day. That means that a home potentially could be fully constructed from start to finish before somebody goes on lunch break. And when you think about that, anytime something is built that fast, you're going to have a likelihood of more problems and less quality. Anyone would think. I mean, if somebody said, I built your car in an hour, would you get in it and drive it on the highway with your kids in the car? You probably wouldn't. So I know that may be a bad example, but you get the point. And that brings me to another problem with the affordability of manufactured housing. Because they are built so quickly, because the materials are often lesser in comparison, that's the only way you could actually make something cheaper, is I know that efficiency and all that stuff has something to do with it as well, but let's face it, you open the door in a bedroom in a stick-built home versus in a manufactured home, one door is going to be thicker, it's going to feel slightly heavier, it's going to be just a better quality door. And that's the case throughout between cabinetry and so forth, and for the most part in most of these comparisons, okay? So after the home is built in a factory and then it is shipped to the destination, the land that it is going to be fixed to, if it's going to be fixed on a permanent foundation, which is again the only way you could really get a mortgage on one nowadays. If it's going to be fixed to a permanent foundation, then you also have to have, every time the home sells, for most folks to loan on it, and again check with your lender. I do believe this is a requirement for like a VA loan or a USDA loan or a FHA loan. Any government-backed loan I believe does require this, and that's you're going to need to pay a structural engineer, which in my area can run anywhere from $700 to $1,000. They're going to have to come out and inspect it and ensure that everything is good. And this is another upfront cost that the potential buyer will have to pay. And you got to keep in mind, who is the target audience for manufactured housing? Well, it's designed to be a more affordable version of housing, of course. So if it's a more affordable version of housing, it creates a challenge as the upfront costs, the rates and everything are often higher. And it's not just insurance companies that want to make sure a structural engineer inspects this home. It's often the lenders also, as well. They don't want somebody to just drive a tractor to your house and hook up to your trailer and drive away with your home, because that's literally what someone could do if it's not fixed to a permanent foundation.
Tell me, how many trucks do you see?
I see one, unless I've been drinking.
Hey, boy, do it to it.
But back to the depreciation issue. This is very important, as one of the reasons I encourage folks, one of the reasons that I practice real estate, one of the reasons I believe in what I do, is that when folks buy a home, they build equity for their family. This sets them up for a better future, and all of the data shows this. And that is one of the main reasons, outside of the potential quality issues, that it makes it very challenging for an agent like myself to recommend that one buys a manufactured home. Now, folks have bought manufactured homes from me before. If you're looking at manufactured homes specifically and you disagree with me, hey, I still love you. I respect you. I respect your opinion, and I'll help you buy one. Now, I won't harp on it to you. I'll tell you my opinion and we can move on. After that, I'm just going to help folks. So the deals that I've done where it is a manufactured home, we've just made sure we got the structural engineer in place, make sure we get a good quality home inspector out there. Somebody like my good friend Bert Hull, shout out to Bert, who won Home Inspector of the Year just a few years back out of the entire world, which is pretty crazy. So you want a quality home inspector with a good reputation to go out there and really take a look at this, because you know that 55 year, although that's not a max, that's just the higher end of the average, that's likely somebody who has taken care of the home, done the necessary repairs and upgrades, and if so, you could live a good life in a manufactured home. I'm not saying that somebody cannot, but what you won't find is that same manufactured home appreciating at the same rate of any site-built home almost. So that's just a simple fact of the matter, y'all. So I'm not mad at y'all. If you love manufactured homes, if you work in the industry, I love you, but we just simply disagree on that particular product. But the fact of the matter is you don't, it's personal property until it goes on a permanent foundation. So it's like you're parking your car in front of your car, kind of, because both have VIN numbers or something. It's just an odd situation, okay? So I would recommend, if you're going to buy one, get it on your own land. And even when you're purchasing land, get with the lender, because some of those lenders, they do have options where you can actually wrap the land and the manufactured home into one. So I'm not sure all the costs with those. Again, you really want a good breakdown of that stuff, and just make sure that you're putting your money where it is best serving you, okay? So look, there is no doubt that housing has gone absolutely bonkers lately. I mean, it is hard to buy a home, harder than ever. I've done a video on this a while back on housing affordability. Look, in the 1940s, y'all, a home only cost about 2.15 times the average salary. That means that if you made, I think about $1,400 and some dollars was the average salary in the 1940s, okay? Well, if you made $1,400, the average home was only like, I don't know, $3,000 or something like that. So today, it's over 5 times the national average income. And that is unacceptable. Housing affordability, it is horrific right now. It's harder than ever. So I pray for you. I have to buy a home too. I have to live in a home too, so I know how it is. And there are some builders that are more affordable options for folks. So here in the Knoxville area, Worley Builders is a really big builder within the area. Smith Built is another builder here in the area. We also have Ball Homes here in the area, in addition to several other local builders. And I'm not recommending you use one or the other either way. I'm just saying there are options. And then you also have more national options, such as your D.R. Hortons and so on in this industry. All of these homes, while you'll read mixed reviews, some will say good and bad about one or the other, and you need to individually do that research yourself or get with a good quality agent, and then when you have that relationship, they'll best serve you and help you navigate through that process, okay? So I'm not going to get into each one of them, but the point is there are other builders out there who take anywhere from 4 months or so to like 8 months to build their homes, and obviously that is going to be done with a little bit more care, I would at least think. So thank y'all for watching. I hope that you got something out of this video. If you live in a manufactured home, keep in mind, no disrespect, not talking down to you. I hope you pay it off, have a great life in that thing, and if it suits your needs, enjoy life in it. No hard feelings, nothing like that. But if you're looking to purchase one, I really recommend doing your research. You can go to DaveRamsey.com. He's got a lot of good articles, a lot of good stuff on YouTube on this issue. I'm a Ramsey Trusted Pro, meaning that I've met Dave's criteria, am endorsed by him to provide the folks that follow his principles, his teachings, with stellar real estate service. So if you're looking for somebody here in the Knoxville area, I would love to chat about your goals, see how I can best help. If you're looking for an existing, already built that is, manufactured home, give me a shout, I'll help you. Doesn't mean that I'm going to recommend them, but I will help you, and I understand. So I can also help guide you to a few different lenders that you can talk to see who's right for you. Thank you so much. God bless. Look forward to seeing you next week.